The pineal gland DMT connection to Kundalini. Pineal gland enlightenment introduction. The purpose of life is to find the highest truth about yourself. Try to find out if there is something else beyond this physical realm in another dimension, either right here, right now, or after death. Release whatever is good, beautiful, honest, loving, and lustful within yourself. Is there more to life than this physical reality we know every day, like another dimension that exists right beside us as we live and after death? Can you reach transcendence within this physical realm as through creativity, intense physical activities, worshipping God, using certain psychedelic drugs, or simply thinking deep thoughts within your mind? The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland in the brain that is shaped like a pine cone. When you look at pictures of ancient holy people and enlightened people, some of them are wearing pinecone-like hats on their heads, some have halos, some are carrying staffs with a pinecone-shaped thing on them. There is a big green pinecone statue in the Vatican Square. Is there something supernatural that these ancient human cultures got from our creators that gave them knowledge about traveling to other dimensions within their souls through the pineal gland? Is the pineal gland the biological gland within us that is coated with a supernatural DNA power that enables our souls to travel in and out of the body through it, or is it just a biological organ that creates serotonin and DMT which give us hallucinations of mystical, spiritual, supernatural experiences? I don't know. I thought I was pretty enlightened. I only started hearing about the pineal gland and enlightenment in the past year or so. I figured if I'm naive about it, most other people must be. There's not much written about it anywhere. What I found was basically a bunch of people all copying the same few tidbits of knowledge from each other. I had to listen to a bunch of videos to find a few tidbits here and there about the possible supernatural connections of the pineal gland. Chapter 1. Is the pineal gland mystical? Pineal gland health. The pineal gland is a walnut or pinecone-shaped gland located in the brain. It is sometimes called the third eye or the eye of Horus from ancient Egyptian mythology, which refers to the all-seeing eye located within the body that houses the imagination and the entryway to higher states of consciousness. It responds to light and darkness like a real eye does. When the eyes get a signal that it's dark, the pineal gland starts to produce melatonin to help you go to sleep and enter dreamy, mystical states. The darkness opens up pathways in the pineal gland that enable you to dream, visualize important things in your life, and maybe even enter a mystical dimension. The pineal gland becomes clogged through poor healthy habits, particularly using fluoride through water and toothpaste, which calcifies it. In the 1990s, a scientist by the name of Jennifer Luke studied the effects of fluoride on the pineal gland and realized it calcifies it. In the past, fluoride was added to prisoners' water to keep them docile. Fluorides are used in animal pest poisons. When the pineal gland is calcified, it interferes with its job of producing melatonin for sleep and serotonin, which is a mood-boosting hormone. So if you're depressed a lot, it could be because your pineal gland has been calcified and blocked because of poor lifestyle habits. The pineal gland releases hormonal and neurotransmitter messages to the pituitary gland, which sends messages to the hypothalamus, which then send messages throughout your body and mind. The pineal gland is supposedly the path to your dreams and all other mystical, sacred, spiritual states of consciousness. It is supposed to be used to access whatever is transcendent and spiritual within us. It has rods and cones in it, just like our two eyes do. Rods and cones are sensitive to light and images. People think that when we close our eyes, our mental images come from the pineal gland. The interior of the pineal gland is made up of the same rods and cones that our eyes have. People think these cells create the images we get in our minds. Some people think the silver cord, which is what your body is attached to when you have out-of-body experiences, is connected to the pineal gland. The reason to keep your pineal gland healthy is because it keeps good, higher, advanced thoughts flowing and releases important hormones to the body, mainly serotonin and melatonin. If the pineal gland is not healthy, it does not release adequate amounts of serotonin and melatonin, therefore you will not be as happy as you could be. Serotonin lifts your mood, and you will not get your optimum level of free-flowing thoughts and ideas because melatonin relaxes you and puts you in what they call an alpha or theta state where thoughts flow freely in your mind. Ancient mystics believed the pineal gland was the seat of the divine soul that enabled you to travel out of your body to other mystical worlds and to heaven to commune with the divine creator God. When you go to sleep, you basically go into a deep meditative state. The state of darkness activates the pineal gland to produce melatonin to help you rest well. People say this necessary to connect with your true divine soul while you sleep to keep you centered about your life, so you need adequate sleep that is partially caused by the pineal gland releasing melatonin in order to be at your best. The pineal gland is made up mostly of water. It can calcify, which means it gets hard and useless. As a result, it doesn't release adequate amounts of hormones, so you're at least partially a mess. You need a healthy pineal gland in order to be creative and think rich, interesting thoughts. The pineal gland has been called the seat of the soul, the eye of Horus, the center of enlightenment, the third eye, the thousand-petal lotus, the Ajna chakra, the higher state of consciousness, and the illumination center. The pineal gland is depicted as a pine cone or an all-seeing eye in some artistic depictions. The ancients believed people traveled to spiritual worlds through the pineal gland. They also believed the pineal gland gave some people intuition and telepathic powers. Sodium fluoride or fluoride gathers in the pineal gland as a toxin and calcifies it over time, thereby rendering it useless. Fluoride is banned in almost every country in the world except for the United States. Most water supply companies in the United States fluoridate their water. What causes Alzheimer's disease besides aging? Fluoride could be part of it. If the pineal gland is clogged up, due to fluoride in the body, people get more easily depressed, stressed out, and spiritually weaker. Fluoride is in some toothpaste and some foods. If your local water supply is fluoridated, try to protest to get rid of it or revert to drinking distilled water. Avoid fluoride, bromium, chlorine, and calcium, as in calcium tablets. Too much calcium contributes to pineal gland atrophy. If you want a healthy pineal gland and a healthy body, follow these simple guidelines. Avoid as many chemicals as possible through what you eat, smell, or what you're surrounded by on your furniture, carpets, in your car, etc. Try to drink natural beverages without many added artificial sweeteners and chemicals. The water in a bottled beverage probably has fluoride in it, since 99% of all water companies in the United States fluoridate their water. Avoid using pesticides if possible. Avoid mercury amalgam fillings in teeth. There are alternatives. You can even get the tooth pulled. Wash all fruits and vegetables to get rid of pesticides. Avoid fluoridated toothpaste. Avoid Wi-Fi and other electromagnetic waves where possible. Drink filtered or distilled water. Canned fish has loads of mercury in it. Many processed foods have harmful chemicals in them. Most medications have harmful substances in them. Cut down if possible. I'm not going to repeat my health superbook merely to say live a healthy lifestyle. Go to number 611 to number 613 at the library for loads of healthy living books. Drink a lot of liquids and juice to flush toxins out of the body. Eat garlic and turmeric, curry powder, which are antioxidants. Consider buying melatonin and iodine supplements to help with pineal gland health. You can get iodine in sea salt or buy it in liquid form. It helps rid the body of radiation. In some areas, if you go to a local park outside the city, there are water faucets there with natural unfluoridated water. You can bring some big containers and fill them up. Black caraway seeds are good for health. Zeolite is a negatively charged mineral that pulls toxins from your body and discharges them through waste. Meditate and think deep thoughts to keep a strong pineal gland. This exercises it, gets the blood flowing through it. Sun gazing is being out in the sun or looking in the direction of the sun, not directly at it, for a few minutes. The sun enters your body and invigorates your hormonal production. Some extremists say we get nourishment from the sun much like a plant does. Despite the hype about sun damaging your skin and causing skin cancer, Some sun is good for you. Live a healthy lifestyle in general. Eat natural healthy foods as opposed to processed foods. Breathe deeply to get oxygen into your body. Do physical activity. Slow down. Live a relaxed lifestyle. Meditate, listen to music or do yoga. They open up your heart chakras. Avoid white sugar as much as you can. Live in truth. Avoid the frivolous entertainment and lies on TV as much as possible. Stress shuts the brain down. Some conspiracy people say the chemtrails secret government planes are creating when they spray chemicals on the general population are to either control the weather or to weaken people to keep up with their agenda to depopulate most of the world. These chemtrails weaken the pineal gland. In the end, culturing a healthy pineal gland will improve your sleep, open up your imagination and ability to think deep thoughts, improve your natural sense of intuition, make you feel happier, put you in contact with the other side if it's really there. Some cough syrups have DMX in them. People use this as a substitute for DMT. Pineal gland spirituality 1. The pineal is a small gland about the size of a raisin in the middle of the brain that controls serotonin, melatonin, and dimethyltryptamine, DMT, secretion. DMT is created by the human body every day. Massive amounts are created at birth and death. Think of it as a cousin to serotonin. It is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. DMT is a recreational and sacred drug that exists in some plants. It can be manufactured synthetically. It is an illegal drug in many countries. It is sometimes called the spirit molecule. Many cultures worldwide use it because they think that when they're using DMT, they are communicating with life and entities in another dimension that really exist that we can't access in the physical realm, but some people sometimes get past the physical realm to enter the other side, the supernatural side, heaven, or some other mystical place. DMT is so powerful that when many drug addicts use it, they often have some kind of spiritual experience then lose their craving for other recreational drugs. Because the pineal gland is believed to manufacture DMT and because it releases the hormone melatonin when it senses darkness to help us fall asleep, it is considered the entryway into higher, mystical states of consciousness. If you look at ancient gods in drawings and pictures, many are carrying staffs with pinecone shapes on them. These pinecones represent the pineal gland, supposedly the highest part of human consciousness. The pineal gland is associated with the sixth chakra in Eastern religions. The pineal gland is an endocrine gland that releases several hormones. The most blood flows to the pineal gland than to anywhere else in the body. The pineal gland is attached to the third ventricle. It is activated by light and controls biorhythms by releasing hormones to the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. Spiritual people think the pineal gland is the entryway into the spirit world. Matthew 6:22 in the Bible says if the human being had one eye, the whole body would be full of light. Matthew 4:16 says that people who sit in darkness see a great light. They say these are instructions on how to activate the pineal gland or third eye. If you invert the picture of Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, they say you can see Jesus with a third eye on his person. There is a big green pinecone statue at the Vatican Square surrounded by two peacocks and an Egyptian sarcophagus, coffin. What is this doing in the Vatican? The pineal gland represents the passageway of the soul to eternal life. The pineal gland is believed to be the place where a soul enters and leaves a body between life and death and sometimes throughout life to communicate with the gods. DMT creates glimpses into other worlds that many people think are real. The star called Sirius is somehow tied into the pineal gland and DMT according to some mystical thinkers. Because of its production of DMT and its connection to sleep, therefore dreaming, the pineal gland is revered in many cultures as the entryway to higher consciousness. If you're stressed out, eat a poor diet, consume fluoride through the water supply and routinely take in lots of pollutants, the pineal gland can calcify and operate poorly, therefore inhibiting higher thought. The composition of the pineal gland is very similar to the composition of the eye. Both contain rods and cones. The pineal gland is the seat of imagination, the mind's eye. When you think up things in your mind, people think that these images are created in the pineal gland. It creates your inner television, the inner movie screen where you picture things. That's why it's so valuable. They say it's shaped like a pine cone, a lotus flower, and the universe. It is harmonious with the Fibonacci number sequence. It's a universal symbol for wholeness or enlightenment. The Pope, Dionysus, Bacchus, Greek god of debauchery, and Osiris, god of Egyptian underworld, each carry staffs with the pinecone symbol on them. Ancient Anunnaki symbols at Babylon have pinecone symbols on them. The Hindu goddess Shiva has a pinecone on her head. Some Buddhist statues have pinecones on their head. They say that after 49 days of gestation, they can detect the pineal gland and DMT in the human fetus. This coincides with the Buddhist idea that after death, a person's soul has 49 days to find a new body to enter into. The Eye of Horus from ancient Egypt or the all-seeing eye on the American dollar bill represent the third eye, which is the pineal gland, which represents inner knowledge and inner vision. They say the human soul enters a body through the pineal gland and leaves that way too. This is why you need a strong, healthy pineal gland. When we dream or enter mystical states, our souls supposedly go through the pineal gland into another dimension. When you channel someone or some entity, they supposedly enter through your pineal gland. The pineal glands of reptiles and amphibians contain a lens, cornea, and retina. They are light-sensitive and help regulate body temperature. Birds have a light-sensitive pineal gland. The human pineal gland is not part of the brain. It develops on the roof of the fetal mouth where it migrates to the center of the brain. It is supposedly the center for spiritual vision. Pineal gland spirituality too. The pineal gland, pine cone, is a small endocrine gland in the middle of the brain between the two hemispheres near the thalamus. It produces melatonin from serotonin. Melatonin regulates biorhythms and sleep patterns. The pineal gland is often called the third eye. René Descartes said the pineal gland is the seat of the soul. The pineal gland is about 5 to 8 millimeters in humans, located behind and beneath the stria medullaris, between the two sides of the thalamus. The pineal gland is not isolated from the body by the blood-brain barrier unlike the rest of the body. When light enters your eyes, it goes through a system of sympathetic nerves to tell the pineal gland it's time to be awake. When no light enters the eyes, the pineal gland senses it's dark and releases melatonin to go to sleep. Matthew 4:16 says when people sat in darkness, they saw a great light. The idea is that the pineal gland gets activated in darkness to feel and think great things, to see things in the mind's eye, and for the soul to travel. The pineal gland system has profuse blood flow similar to the kidneys as the areas of the greatest blood flow in the body. Darkness activates the pineal gland, which activates mystical states of consciousness in some people who actively seek knowledge and wisdom. The pineal gland can calcify with age and poor lifestyle habits. Schizophrenics and some people with mental illnesses could be that way because their pineal glands are very active in a dysfunctional way. When puberty hit, melatonin production slows down. Melatonin is N-acetyl 5-methoxytryptamine, is a derivative of the amino acid tryptophan. The pineal gland creates it when it gets dark and stops when it gets light outside. Calcification of the pineal gland seems quite common in modern societies. Pineal gland calcification is common in Alzheimer patients. Calcium, phosphorus, and fluoride deposits build up in the pineal gland. To set up circadian rhythms, light goes through the eye into the retinohypothalamic system to the suprachiasmatic nuclei, SCN, and the pineal gland. René Descartes observed the pineal gland sitting by itself in the brain connected to a rich supply of blood and concluded that it is the seat of the soul that controls all thoughts. Georges Baudeley coined the term pineal eye to describe intuition. The pineal gland is associated with mystical awakening and higher states of consciousness in many cultures. Scientists do not totally understand exactly everything the pineal gland does. Pineal gland activation. DMT, as in ayahuasca, is probably the easiest way. After all the New Age bull, The easiest way is to lay on your stomach with your head on the side and hum for as long as you can so your Adam's apple vibrates. There are no guarantees. I read a lot of people posting comments about it on some chat board. Some people say they got possessed by demons. It seems delusional to me. I feel pretty good, but I've never felt some big crackling sound in my head that opened my soul up. I feel pretty good when I swim for a while. Here's what I read. Sit in a relaxed position with your back straight. Breathe in through your nose and hold your breath as long as you can. Open your mouth a little so that there is a small gap between your top and bottom teeth. Place the tip of your tongue between this space. Release your breath slowly through your mouth, chanting THHHHHHH continuously. Your tongue should be vibrating between your teeth. The tone should vibrate in your third eye. Do it 5 or more times. Do it every day. Exercise number 2 is to breathe in deeply and hold it on for a count of 8 while focusing on your third eye. Chant Om as you exhale. Do it 6 times. The vibrations should go into your head to light it up. Concentrate on the energy entering your third eye and exiting your head at the top. Chapter 2. Trying to get past the conscious mind. People do lots of things to try to break free to a higher state of consciousness. People do a lot of different things to simply feel better than average day-to-day reality and also to try to connect to something higher within themselves. Some people say the following things: release DMT in our bodies, which gives us transcendent, mystical feelings. Take DMT. Intense physical exercise. Fasting. Sensory deprivation like John C. Lilly's self-studies. Yoga. Meditation. Sleep deprivation. Long sleep. Sitting in the dark. Looking at mandalas. Drugs. Alcohol. Vision quests. Extreme dancing. Chanting, humming. Singing. Beating drums. Going to church. Prayer. Visualization. Think deep thoughts. Lay in the dark. The conspiracy theory of pineal gland activation. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the American government puts fluoride in the water supply in order to help calcify the pineal gland, which keeps people dumbed down and docile so that they can be more easily managed and controlled. The conspiracy theory of pineal gland activation is that if the people of the world were all healthy and their pineal glands were open, there would be a kind of telepathic human collective consciousness where the people as a group would realize their governments are corrupt and many corporations are doing evil things to them, like getting them hooked on pop culture entertainment and meaningless consumer goods. They would revolt against the state of affairs and set up new democratic governments, kind of like what I talk about through my People Power program. People say that governments and the evil people running the world as the Illuminati/shadow government do things to large segments of the population to dumb them down and keep them docile, like fluoridation of the water supply to calcify the pineal gland, making enlightening drugs like DMT illegal, spraying chemtrails on the people, controlling the weather with high-tech machines, using mind control waves through an infrastructure of radio towers left over from the Cold War. They sell the bottom parts to cell phone companies, but they say there are mind control gadgets at the top of the towers geared to screw people up and dumb them down. Open the third eye by listening to simple music. The brain operates on brain waves. There are lots of people who think certain sounds, music, and chants do something to open up and activate the pineal gland, which opens your brain up to higher states of consciousness. I've seen videos on YouTube called something like 936 Hz mind-opening third eye music. They say sound at 936 Hz helps activate the pineal gland. Find this type of sound by typing something like 936 Hz meditation sounds or high-frequency healing sounds into YouTube. The basic natural sound of the universe is the Om sound, a humming or chanting sound where you say Om over and over again. Do it with a musical instrument or listen to it. People say it helps you reach higher states of consciousness when you're in a relaxed state of mind. People use yogatronics to try to get into the alpha or theta brainwave range. People use frequency following response and binaural beat technology to try to activate the pineal gland. These techniques embed two different tones in a stereo background. You are supposed to wear headphones to feel slightly different frequencies like 100 and 108 cycles per second in each ear. This supposedly gets the brain resonating at the same rate as the difference between the two tones. The ideal is the 4 to 13 Hz range, which is the theta and alpha range. Sit quietly and listen. This will relax you and could open up your mind to those higher states they often talk about, where some people say they enter a quantum leap in feeling and thinking about things. I've never experienced this great leap. Some people say they do. It could be marketing hype to sell CDs and headphones. In the end, the craving for pleasure is roughly the same as the craving for wisdom. You want something higher out of life. Mystical states are a good thing to shoot for. Do it partially through meditation and intense physical activity. Try to be as natural as you can be. Everything good is the desire to a state of true love, pure pleasure, and peace. I saw one called Third Eye Binaural Beat Meditation. There are hundreds of these videos and podcasts. Type pineal gland activation beats music sounds chants into YouTube or a search engine. monroeinstitute.org, centerpoint.com, alpha-stim.com. Christian view of pineal gland. The guy at Soldiers for Christ Community Church says at day 49 in the fetus, God shoots your soul into you in the pineal gland, where it remains until near death, when the body produces a bunch of DMT to release it out again into heaven. He says don't mess with doing drugs or using alcohol to try to attain higher states, because you're messing with Satanism and sorcery. He is dead against doing anything to try to open up the pineal gland to attain higher states. There are a lot of Christians that say when you open up the pineal gland to channel spirits or travel outside the body, you're doing satanic, evil acts. He's got videos up at YouTube. There are others too, like Dr. Joyce Pugh. GospelInfinity.com. Pineal gland mysticism one-liners. Albert Most wrote a 1984 booklet, Bufo Alvarius, The Psychedelic Toad of the Sonoran Desert, about how to collect and smoke the 5-MeO-DMT containing secretions from a toad. Life starts when the spiritual life force enters the fetus and passes through the pineal, triggering the first flood of DMT. As we die, the life force leaves the body through the pineal gland, releasing another flood of this psychedelic spirit molecule. Pages 68 to 69 of DMT, The Spirit Molecule, 2001, Dr. Robert Strassman. People in modern society have a blocked ajna third eye chakra because they don't listen to their intuition. They buy into the crap of the modern world, like excessive materialism. The ajna third eye chakra is for insight, wisdom, imagination, and intuition. Strengthened by being alone and thinking your own thoughts in the dark, sometimes called meditation. Lay down in darkness and think in colorful images. It doesn't matter what. Thinking in technicolor strengthens your brain. Imagine your favorite place in nature. Put yourself there. Feel love for your life, love for earth, and love for God. Life energy is related to prana, which is breathing. Practice deep breathing to get oxygen to your brain. Listen to your DNA. Listen for what is natural within you. Meditate on topics like God, humility, wealth, your true nature, vitality, pleasure, and a strong mind. Supercharge your soul by relaxing and meditating. Feel warm, healing energy saturate your body. The pineal gland is the mystical third eye, ajna chakra, that helps you reach higher levels of consciousness. Decalcify your pineal gland through a healthy diet, meditation, and visualization. The modern lifestyle blocks its intuition and power. Be as natural as you can. A formal definition of the pineal gland is a small endocrine gland in the vertebrate brain that produces the serotonin derivative melatonin, that affects the modulation of wake/sleep patterns and seasonal functions. It is located between the two hemispheres, tucked where the two rounded thalamic bodies join. The pineal gland is composed of the same type of cells as in the normal eyes. It is sensitive to light in order to perform its function to create melatonin to help you fall asleep. You need good health to awaken your pineal gland so you can astral travel, explore other dimensions and foresee the future. A healthy pineal gland produces its own DMT, which keeps you in a constant visionary state of being. DMT occurs in trace amounts in humans. A vision quest is to transcend the ego to feel your true nature and purpose. Calcification is the buildup of calcium phosphate crystals in the body. Certain toxins gather at parts of the body then calcify in order to protect themselves from your body's immune system. Fluoride is a major toxin that calcifies the pineal gland. Sun gazing is going outside to get some sunlight, which is healthy for the body. Open your heart to the world. Depression will disappear. If it feels right, then pursue it. The pineal gland/third eye chakra is a spiritual energy center in the body where people try to transcend material reality by travel out of the body through astral projection, aka out-of-body experiences. Greek physician Herophilus wrote about the pineal gland in the 3rd century BCE. The word comes from the Latin pineus, which means pinecone-shaped. It is the only part of the brain that isn't subdivided into two hemispheres. They say the pineal gland causes altered states of consciousness like dreams and near-death experiences. René Descartes, in the 17th century, saw the pineal gland as the only organ in the brain that creates thoughts. He saw the connection between the pineal gland and the eyes. Descartes said that the pineal is the seat of the soul, the meeting place of the physical and spiritual. Madame Blavatsky said, "The pineal gland is in truth the very seat of the highest and most divine consciousness in man, his omniscient, spiritual and all-embracing mind." The third eye chakra is regarded as the source of spiritual intuition and transcendence. In mythology, there is the story of the mystical eye of Shiva representing intuitive vision. The endocrine system's pineal gland secretes melatonin, which is created from serotonin, which is the happiness hormone. The pineal gland is joined by the habenula trigone and the posterior commissure. This is called the epithalamus. It connects the limbic system to other parts of the brain. Melatonin is an antioxidant that controls our circadian rhythm, which is our sleep and wake cycle. The pineal gland creates most melatonin at night in the absence of light, which helps us fall asleep. Chronobiology is a branch of science that explores rhythms in life. Besides the eyes, the pineal gland is the only organ in our body that detects light. The dopamine receptor on the outside of the pineal gland slows melatonin secretion in the early morning. Melatonin protects white blood cells against radiation damage. Dr. Rick Strassman asserts that the pineal gland is responsible for secreting dimethyltryptamine, DMT. DMT contributes to the visual effects of natural dreaming, religious visions, or other altered states. The third eye is related to the Ajna chakra, the 6th chakra in Hinduism. The caduceus symbol is supposedly a medical symbol from the distant past that tells us that the key to enlightenment is hormonal secretions in the brain. The third eye is associated with telepathy, astral travel, and the ability to see auras around people. According to Theosophy, humans once had a third eye in the back of the head that eventually atrophied to become the pineal gland in the brain. In third eye training, you sit or lay comfortably, close your eyes, then tune into the correct vibration of the universe to reach a high feeling and high insights. There have been reports that members of the secret organization called the Skull and Bones Society at Yale University sometimes sacrifice a person or animal, then quickly take the pineal gland out of the brain to eat it to get its DMT/melatonin supernatural effects. Go to biblioteca.net/sociopolitica/sociopol_diviner-itrul01.htm. In ancient human history, there are stories of one-eyed and three-eyed beings, which is tied into the mysterious powers of the pineal gland that somehow atrophied into the brain during human evolution. It gained intuitive wisdom while we lost physical vision. There is a story that at one time, humans had two faces, one in the front and one in the back of the head. See sacred-texts.com/the/sd/sd2-1-17.htm. They found birds with large pineal glands. They think they see with intuition rather than physical eyesight. In Greek mythology, Hermes freed himself from his physical body, whereupon he beheld the great dragon who talked to him. Julie Ann Miller wrote an article in Science News revealing that the biological matter of the pineal gland is similar to the biological material in the eyes. The pineal gland releases melatonin when it gets dark out to help us fall asleep. The pineal gland secretes melanin/melatonin when a person is relaxed and daydreaming. Melanin/melatonin supplements are sold to supposedly help people fall asleep. According to New Age Christianity, the first eye is sight, the second eye is rational thinking skills, the third eye is spiritual thinking. The Eye of Horus is an ancient Egyptian symbol that looks like the eye on an American dollar bill that is supposed to represent power, health, and safety. The eye is a part of the goddess Wajet/Vetjat. It is also called the Eye of Ra. The Eye of Horus is sometimes called the third eye. Spiritual Quest Guide. When we have spiritual visions, the lower and middle temporal area of the brain lights up. This doesn't prove that they are a fantasy of the mind or a real spiritual vision. I remember seeing the story of a guy on ayahuasca. When he came out of the trance state, he said he talked to God. He became a Christian minister based on that one experience. It's powerful. I still remember my vision when I was shown man's inhumanity to man throughout history and told I could do something about it at the age of 23 while on mushrooms. 25 years later I created the People Power program for true democracy where the people rule, not politicians, because I always knew based on that vision that I would have to do something with whatever power I had inside of me. Many people report seeing a divine light of unconditional love when they're in this other state. Some people say they talk to God. Others just feel the love. Many people with near-death experiences don't want to come back to their bodies. As consciousness explores and expands, you enter an egoless state where thoughts form freely. You can go from primal to heavenly. Every one of us has DNA that came from our Creator. This DNA is the source matter of whatever is divine inside of us. Can we unlock something hidden in there if we do the right things like DMT, activate our pineal glands, meditate, or do something else? I don't know for sure. I've had weird experiences, but they have since faded. I have not had a smoking gun experience where I knew for sure I felt something supernatural that was absolutely real. I continue to explore, especially now as I age. The secrets of the universe are within us. Who is bold enough to go after it? Check out the websites at the end of this article. Consciousness is spiritual. We have to get over the idea that life is just physical. If there is something spiritual going on in another dimension, I want to know as much as I can before I die. That's why I explore and write these books. I'm looking for something. I don't know exactly what. I would like to see a clear vision of God. Brad Steiger said that some entity appeared to him on the Art Bell show. Art Bell took it casually. They just kept right on talking. Art didn't ask any follow-up question about it because he probably knew it was bull. If something like this happened to me, it would be the most important event of my life, but because Steiger brought it up haphazardly while talking about something else, I'm suspect of it, because you would think that if some entity appeared to him or anyone, that would be the big idea bar none. Science tries to study energy, light, and life. I applaud their efforts, but I think there is something more about life that science can't explain. Some people say life or energy can't be destroyed. It simply moves into another form. We can travel deep into outer space and travel deeply into our consciousnesses. Which will yield the answers to life, if any. Consciousness is a big problem in science. They can't explain it. Everybody lives alone in their heads. Most people think that all these people who make incredible psychic claims are lying. For example, Stuart Wilde, now deceased, made an incredible claim about shooting demons in hell. I liked the guy. He seemed sincere. There are many holy books like the Kabbalah, Tibetan Book of the Dead, Bible, Bhagavad Gita, etc. Which ones have real secrets? Try sacred-texts.com. The Tibetan Book of the Great Liberation described the self-originated clear light, eternally unborn, shining forth within one's own mind. Walt Whitman talked about ineffable light, light rare, untellable, light beyond all signs, descriptions, and languages. Consciousness has no time and space. It's in another dimension. Saint Augustine said, "He that knows the truth, knows what this light is and that it is eternity." Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Time and space are but the physiological colors the eye makes, the soul is light." From a scientific point of view, it comes down to energy. Ghost hunters and other supernatural investigators look for evidence in the form of souls or spiritual entities leaving some kind of electromagnetic trace that machines can record. On some TV show, the guy said he was sitting in his apartment when this plaid entity came floating by in the air right through his wall. About a month later, there were some ambulance guys next door. The old lady had died, but nobody discovered her body for a month. He looked at the stretcher. He saw the same plaid he had seen a month earlier. The woman must have died that night. He saw her soul leaving her body. Life goes beyond matter and energy to encompass some unknown spiritual X factor, or does it? All living cells contain the mystery of the universe. Who will unlock it, if anyone? Every cell is somehow connected to whatever created it. The universe could be all material and physical, and all this spiritual stuff just a delusion to make us feel better about dying. We need hard proof of the spiritual world. Despite all the science we have about biology, nobody really knows how life happens. Buddhists and others believe that the divine soul of another person enters a fetus at 49 days of gestation. Buddhists believe in reincarnation. All we know for sure is that peace and love are better than hate, war, and greed for the collective good of all of us and planet Earth. Chapter 3. Dimethyltryptamine/DMT, Ayahuasca. Dimethyltryptamine/DMT guide. DMT or N,N-dimethyltryptamine is a small molecule that exists naturally throughout the plant and animal kingdoms. Some scientists believe that DMT is created in the human pineal gland, where it causes mystical/spiritual states of consciousness, near-death experiences, dreams, alien abduction experiences, etc. Some people believe when the soul enters our bodies at day 49 in the fetus, it is accompanied by a flood of DMT. Later on in life, whenever we have deep mystical experiences, they are accompanied by the release of DMT in the pineal gland. As we die, a flood of DMT accompanies the soul leaving the body. N,N-dimethyltryptamine/DMT is a short-acting psychedelic entheogen that produces some of the most powerful visions possible in the human mind. DMT exists naturally in people and plants. It is created in the body from serotonin. It affects receptor sites for serotonin much like LSD, psilocybin, and mescaline do. These serotonin receptors are everywhere in the body, like the blood vessels, muscle, glands, and skin. Some people with chemistry knowledge can create DMT synthetically. Most people get it from plants. Journals like the Psychedelic Monographs and Essays and the Hyperspace Lexicon Project gather and analyze stories about DMT experiences. DMT is synthesized quickly if you take it orally. You can prolong the effect with an MAO inhibitor like Harmine. DMT is an agonist of serotonin 5-HT2A, 5-HT2C and 5-HT1A. DMT is created naturally in the human body every day. It is released in massive quantities at birth and death in the pineal gland, supposedly when the soul enters the body at day 49, and at death when the soul departs to the next dimension. Dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is a psychedelic substance found in mushrooms and other plants. It is also manufactured synthetically from tryptamine and methyl iodide. People smoke it, chew it, eat it, and inject it intramuscularly and intravenously. The most common form is ayahuasca. The high usually lasts under an hour because substances in the body break it down quickly. People claim to see other entities like God, Satan, spirits in the plants, extraterrestrials and other spirits. A variation of DMT is 5-MeO-DMT. The seeds of coaba, the ground beans of the Piptadenia peregrina contain DMT. When the South American shamans use ayahuasca, they have the sense to give you the DMT than another substance that is an MAO inhibitor so that the DMT has enough time to give you psychedelic effects. When you produce it in your body, it breaks down right away. That's why you hardly ever get high through natural means. If you type the term how to make DMT into a search engine, you usually get a complicated chemical explanation. At dmtnexus.me, they give you a list of plants with DMT in them. DMT produces short-acting effects when smoked. Many people forget what happened very quickly, like you forget a dream. DMT is in the South American brew called ayahuasca. You can go on ayahuasca vision quests for a fee. You can see ayahuasca videos on YouTube. Plants containing DMT. Get a big list at dmtnexus.me. Some plants that contain DMT are as follows: acacia, anadenanthera, antheria, arundo, ayahuasca, columbrina, delosperma, desmanthus, desmodium, diplopteris, erigonum, evodia, justitia, lespedesia, limona, mimosa, mucuna, osteophyllum, pandanus, pedalostylus, phalaris, phragmites, psychotria, testulia, vepris, virola, xanthoxylum. Natural creation of DMT. All substances are part of my own consciousness. This consciousness is vacuous, unborn, and unceasing. Thus meditating, allow the mind to rest in the uncreated state. Like the pouring of water into water, the mind should be allowed its own easy mental posture in its natural, unmodified condition, clear and vibrant. Leary, Metzner, Alpert, The Psychedelic Experience. Some people say that meditating and chanting causes vibrations that naturally release DMT in the body. They say certain meditation-type music helps with this too. Meditation affects pineal activity, creating DMT and serotonin release. You can use electric, magnetic, or sound waves to create higher moods and the release of DMT in the pineal gland. DMT is produced during meditation and intense physical and sexual exertion. Meditation generates brain waves that stimulate the pineal gland, which produces DMT. There are certain frequencies of sound that work best to activate the pineal gland. There are many free pineal gland activation music or sound videos on YouTube. Dark room technique to increase DMT production. Mantak Chia created a dark room technology, which is to sit in a dark room so that your pineal gland produces melatonin, serotonin, and natural DMT called endohuasca. Isolated from external light, the third eye produces certain neurotransmitters that awaken the higher brain. Closing your eyes stops light from entering the pineal gland. Melatonin production increases. It's good to close your eyes and meditate on loving, happy things. Absolute darkness helps the pineal gland produce the most hormones which help you think higher thoughts. To achieve this, people have used flotation tanks, sensory deprivation chambers, caves, tunnels, catacombs, teepees and sweat lodges. The darkness helps with natural DMT production and focuses your mind. Darkroom, DR, technology has someone sit in a dark room and do things like meditate, chant, drum or hum, all to achieve higher states. Robert Newman in Calm Healing, 2006 talks about the Bardo retreat as meditation practiced in utter darkness. People do this for over a month sometimes. The Bardo retreat is named after the Buddhist idea of the Bardo of luminosity. Mantak Chia is a Taoist master in Thailand who says sound and light isolation leads to darkroom enlightenment. He takes people to do this for a week at a time to shock the pineal to stimulate production of natural DMT in great amounts. The neurotransmitter 5-MeO-DMT is normally only active in fetuses and immediately after death, but it is reactivated in the darkroom. Chia said, there is now enough monoamine oxidase inhibition triggered by the pinoline, to allow the pineal gland's serotonin to melatonin cycle to be intercepted by adrenaline and ephedrine activity and converted into a serotonin, DMT pathway. When DMT levels reach more than 25 milligrams, one's experience can become very visual. DMT is the visual third eye neurotransmitter. It enables the energy body and spirit to journey into hyperspace, beyond third-dimensional realms of time and space. Pineal is a substance made in the pineal gland from 5-HT. It is thought to be the neurochemical trigger for dreaming. If you don't get enough sleep, you dream while awake. Meditation in the dark is good. DMT one-liners. Vaporization is different from smoking. When you smoke DMT, often with cannabis, you subject it to a high temperature immediately, which can ruin the potency. With a vaporizer machine or gadget, the DMT is heated slowly at an even temperature. You don't waste any. The fumes are better. The DMT evaporates and you inhale it rather than smoke it. Smoking leads to breakdown of the DMT plus adding impurities from the fire starter. Vaporizers and vaporizer pipes are sold at head shops. DMT only works orally if taken with an MAO inhibitor/MAOI. You can drink it straight, drink it in juice, or swallow it raw or in a capsule. Some people snort it up the nose. DMT seems to connect users with some types of gods and spiritual beings in another dimension. Neurotheology, a term coined by Aldous Huxley in the novel Island, is a field of study that tries to explain all otherworldly type experiences to biological processes in the brain. DMT is created from serotonin. Like serotonin, it has an uplifting effect on mood. All weird, transcendent experiences supposedly occur in the pineal gland. This doesn't prove or disprove the biological or spiritual theory of an afterlife, otherworldly experience. Many people who have otherworldly experiences have very similar ones. Does this prove that they are all accessing the same external other world, or is it just that the biology produces these same experiences? I wish I knew for sure what the truth is. The lungs continuously produce DMT. It seems like the brain requires DMT to operate normally. Dr. Robert Strassman said, "I was always interested in the pineal gland as a possible spiritual organ, as it were. It's always been an object of veneration in esoteric physiological systems, the anatomical location of high spiritual centers in Buddhism and Judaism. The truth is that we don't know for sure whether DMT is made in the pineal gland. There are studies suggesting that psychotic people have higher amounts of DMT in their urine than normal people, suggesting that DMT helps you think in technicolor." Stephen Barker at Louisiana State University studied altered states of consciousness and DMT. Once you get beyond the physical, nobody has the smoking gun answer about spiritual experiences. Are they real or just a product of something in our brains? DMT is natural in the body. To get higher levels of DMT in the brain, in order to get high, it has to cross the blood-brain barrier. If you take too much, you feel sick. The brain quickly metabolizes any DMT that enters into it, so at the most, you can only get high for about an hour, but the experience is so intense that some people say it's like living 1,000 lifetimes or 1,000 years in a few minutes. It's a feeling of spiritual insight seemingly beyond words. Hindus say it's the third eye chakra opening up. Some people say that when we make the pineal gland vibrate through either using DMT, meditating, starving ourselves, sensory deprivation, or some other method, this vibration causes our mystical experiences. This is the traditional opening or activation of the third eye. Some people think the pineal gland was once a real third physical eye that retreated into the brain during evolution to become a spiritual center of wisdom. The pineal gland is visible in the human fetus at 49 days, which is the length of time the Tibetan Book of the Dead says that a soul exists in the bardo after death before it enters another body. Many people claim to enter a new world of otherworldly souls while on DMT. Many have vision quests about their purpose in life. Some people speculate that our collective memory as the human race is stored in our DNA. The evidence is in the memories organ transplant and blood transfusion patients have that they think come from the donated body parts and blood. When you're on DMT, they say these memories open up. Read stories at DMT websites. People say they contact their primordial intelligence. It changes them for life. DMT has been described as the key to the greatest, most marvelous secrets of life. DMT is illegal in most of the world. DMT is structurally similar to melatonin. Both are made from serotonin. DMT structurally resembles LSD and psilocybin. Changa is a smokable/vaporizable form of DMT deposited on plant material that contains MAOIs. When Dr. Rick Strassman did his studies, he found that when people get just enough, not too much or too little, they get profound visions about their life purpose. Is as though one had been struck by noetic lightning. The ordinary world is almost instantaneously replaced, not only with a hallucination, but a hallucination whose alien character is its utter alienness. Nothing in this world can prepare one for the impressions that fill your mind when you enter the DMT sensorium. Terence McKenna. People often smoke it with marijuana because DMT by itself tastes bad. It is injected by people who can get the synthetic version. People drink ayahuasca. Licking toads is dangerous because they are poisonous. When people do ayahuasca, the shamans put an antidote in it to the poisonous substances. See spike.com/video/retoad/3312528. DMT is used to help drug addicts quit drugs. The reasoning is that the DMT experience is so powerful spiritually that other drugs pale in comparison, so people stop using them. People can get paranoid while on DMT. DMT is a spiritual drug for enlightenment, to contemplate your life so far and to discover your life purpose. DMT is in many strands of the acacia plant and reed plants. Dr. Robert Strassman thinks that the bulk of DMT is created in the pineal gland, which is supposedly why we have crazy dreams when we sleep. The Egyptians and other cultures linked DMT and the pineal gland as the place where the soul travels to the ether world. The United States made DMT illegal in 1971 as a Schedule I drug. During REM, rapid eye movement, sleep, DMT is released into the bloodstream. DMT is similar to serotonin and targets the same receptors. They say that the difference between dreams and DMT visions is simply the stage of consciousness or sleep you're in. DMT links body and spirit. Pineal activation awakens inactive latent neural pathways. Many DMT trips have the user connect with a loving God who tells him or her to go back and fulfill your purpose to help the world. Meditation can achieve this too. Natural hallucinogens in the body belong to the tryptamine or beta-carboline family of compounds. You can reach altered states by relaxing enough and being creative. Sometimes intense physical activity, fasting or other deprivations can get you there. When I swim non-stop for a while, I get a pretty high feeling. Serotonin, melatonin, and tryptamine levels are higher in the pineal gland than in any other part of the body. The two extremes of human experience, deep relaxation and intense stress or exertion, can release these hormones. Terence McKenna and others have said that while they were high on DMT, they communicated with beings who gave them knowledge and wisdom that didn't come from these people's past experience of life. It happened to me too. The montage of human history I saw showing me man's inhumanity to man didn't come from my own mind. I still think that today that I had either a supernatural encounter or I opened up something hidden in my DNA. The Church of Santo Daime and União de Vegetal, UDV, use ayahuasca in their sermons to try to get to a visionary state. When using ayahuasca, you take the first drink to release the DMT, then take the second drink to inhibit the MAOI, which would otherwise break down the DMT quickly and you wouldn't get high. Phalaris grass contains 5-MeO-DMT. People use Syrian rue as an MAOI. In the Arab world, the ancients used DMT plants they called homa or soma. Our entire DNA is in every cell. We could have memories of past generations stored in there that come out when using DMT. Dr. Rick Strassman did DMT studies. Dr. Rick Strassman was a biopsychiatry professor at the University of New Mexico. Being a biology guy, his business was to use biology to explain everything, so he was the first guy as far as I know to formally suggest that the pineal gland creates DMT from serotonin and synthesizes it through his book DMT, The Spirit Molecule, but others have suggested it too, like Andrew Weil and Terence McKenna. In his book, he talks about how hard it was to get approval to do DMT studies on volunteer subjects in the early 1990s. Then he did the study, which ended in 1995. The book was published in 2001. He injected volunteer subjects with different doses of DMT. At small doses, people felt relaxed. At just the right dose, they felt spiritual and mystical, like they were out of their body. At doses that were too high, they just felt tired, confused and sick. The conclusion is that the right dose of DMT creates some kind of mystical experience within some people. Dr. Strassman is a science guy. The most he can say is that DMT causes some spiritual, mystical experiences in people. The question is whether this experience is just a biological reaction to DMT, or is the DMT the catalyst for an entry into another dimension of reality that most humans know nothing about. In his radio interviews for his book, some of which are at YouTube, he made two basic points. A certain part of the brain, probably the pineal gland, creates spiritual mystical sensations within people. When people ingest DMT, some of them feel mystical experiences. He talked a bit about the spiritual realm beyond that, but he's a scientist within the mainstream academic system. He can't speculate about non-scientific ideas without getting scorned or otherwise into some kind of trouble. At the end of a 2-hour interview on the Laura Lee Show, the only thing he really said was that mystical experiences are the result of DMT produced in the pineal gland. The process of synthesis creates hallucinations and delusions of mystical spiritual type experiences. Strassman published his book in 2001, which said that there is a place in the brain that is associated with mystical experiences, which to some New Agey type people was a big step for the scientific community to recognize the possibility of other realms. Strassman said that people seem to live pretty normal lives without a pineal gland, like if they're removed because of brain cancer, so it's wise not to get too carried with all this pineal gland soulgate hype. Pineal gland as the entryway to a hidden dimension. Nobody really knows whether DMT opens up some real dimension that we go into when we ingest it. Is there something hidden in our biology, cells, and DNA that gets opened up under certain conditions? I watch hundreds of near-death experience videos on YouTube to see the amazing commonalities of them among many different people. There was one case of a woman with an NDE who was told her son would soon die, which he did after she returned. A little boy met his dead sister, who he knew nothing about before his NDE, but later learned that his mother miscarried a baby girl. I believe in a supernatural realm because I've seen so many people from all over the world talk about very similar near-death experiences. They all could not have been parrots who copied each other because they were from such different backgrounds and their accounts were so spontaneous and sincere. I'm looking for something deeper and profound in life. When I look at all the pine cones Buddhists, Egyptians, and the Sumerians are wearing on their heads, which represent the pineal gland, I think that there has to be something going on if all these ancient cultures held the pineal gland in such high esteem. If you look at the pinecone statue in the Vatican, you realize something weird is going on, this green pinecone with an Egyptian sarcophagus and 2 peacocks near it. I think there could be some kind of supernatural connection housed in the pineal gland that goes beyond biology that our creators put into us when they created us. Biology cannot explain a lot of what's going on, plus there is a lot of unexplained stuff that happened in our origins with ancient astronauts, gods, the Anunnaki, visitors from Sirius, etc. that have me believing that there are weird, possibly supernatural secrets about the human entity that nobody has discovered yet. DMT, The Spirit Molecule Documentary. Dr. Rick Strassman wrote the book DMT, The Spirit Molecule Documentary that was published in 2001. The documentary, hosted by Joe Rogan, came out in October 2011 at the Austin Film Festival. It is free on YouTube. Several people talk about their experiences while in Strassman DMT study. Dr. Strassman and a few other scientists talk about biology and hallucination experiences. I think the most profound experience was when the guy came out of the DMT experience after it broke down in his body. He asked Dr. Strassman how long was he out. Strassman said 15 minutes. The guy said something like 1,000 years of life experience in 15 minutes. This is similar to the experiences I had when using magic mushrooms and morning glory seeds. thspiritmolecule.com. Bufotenine info/stuff on toads to get high. Bufotenine/bufotenine/bufotenin, 5-hydroxy-DMT, 5-ho-dimethyltryptamine/5-o-DMT, dimethylserotonin, is a form of DMT found on the skin of Bufo alvarius toads, in mushrooms and some plants. You can buy the stuff from some places. Bufo toads live in Central and South America. You have to milk the venom by stroking its belly to get it to attack, then you gather the venom, dry it and smoke it. Licking it just makes you sick. absoluteastronomy.com/nc3/bulletinfotenin. bulletinfote9.com/5-ho-dmt.html. arrowid.org/archive/sonoran_desert_toad. arrowid.org/chemicals/bulletinfotenin. dextromethorphan/DXM. DXM is the stuff in most cough syrups and some cough pills. If you drink enough, you'll get high. They say it works on the brain the same way ketamine or PCP does. The effects are dissociative anesthesia, mild hallucinations, enhanced response to the environment, some nausea, and some stimulant effects. I've seen hundreds of self-reports of people talk about buying cough syrup, Coricidin, contact cough caps, Drixeril cough caps, Robitussin, Vicks 44, gel caps, etc., drinking 4 to 8 ounces then describing their high. As far as I know, you can buy contact cough caps just about everywhere except the United States. That's the purest form of DXT you can get over the counter. They're little pills with almost pure DXT in them. At the time of this writing, Robitussin maximum strength cough contains DXM with nothing else except a little alcohol. Vicks has a brand like this too. Robitussin DM contains other stuff called guaifenesin, which is what could make you sick. There are 2 types of cough syrup with DXT in them. Those that contain guainesin. Those that contain alcohol. Look for the stuff with just the alcohol. Keep it as pure as possible. The general consensus is that some people can't stomach drinking all that cough syrup. In that case, either chase it with tea or pop, buy the cold capsules with DXT in them to avoid the cough syrup, or look for the powder online. About 1 in 10 people have an inherited deficiency in the liver enzyme which metabolizes DXT, so if that's you, you won't be able to process it and will feel sick as your body tries to reject it because it sees it as a toxin. One guy said that vitamin C helps increase the effect, so he drinks orange juice every time he gets high on DXT. You can buy pure DXT by mail order. It's much easier to use than drinking cough syrup. I read a story about some teenager who overdosed on the powder and died. It's not easy to buy the pure powder. I went to some website, said I wanted it for personal use, then they said I needed to fill it some form that I had a legitimate need for it to do a medical experiment with it, so I made up some phony experiment about seeing if rats on DXT were less alert than rats not on it, but I guess because I had already stated that I wanted it for personal use, it was in their email records, so I was out as a customer. Dextromethorphan, street names, DXM, CCC, Triple C, Skittles, Robo. DXMstories.com. arrowid.org/DXM. dextroverse.org. DMT websites. You can read stories by going to archive.org, then totsi.com, or Joe Rogan, a TV host, has a bunch of podcasts talking about DMT. daoxy.org. arrowid.org. daoxy.org/dmt.htm. designer-drugs.com. dimethyltryptamine.com. dmtnexus.me. Ayahuasca/Yag websites. Ayahuasca means vine of the souls in the Quechua language. It is popular in South America. The main ingredient is the Banisteriopsis copyvine, but other plants are added to the mix. The active ingredient in the main ingredient is DMT. DMT is a substance related to serotonin in the brain and the substance that gives us hallucinogenic and spiritual experiences. The problem with DMT when you eat or drink it is that it breaks down in the body before it ever reaches the brain, rendering it useless to get high. The substance in the body that does this is monoamine oxidase, MAO. This is why you need an MAO inhibitor to counteract the effect of the MAOs. The ancient natives of South America somehow figured out that you need at least two plants to enter the spirit world, the Aya containing the DMT and another plant containing an MAO inhibitor. You have to be careful when using MAO inhibitors because MAOs act like antibodies to kill all strange chemicals, viruses, and bacteria that enter the body indiscriminately. So when you use an MAO inhibitor, you're not only allowing DMT to get through, but you could also be allowing germs to get through. This is why you should avoid eating food and taking medicines for at least several hours before and after taking an MAO inhibitor. The effect of inhibiting MAOs from destroying toxins that enter your body could injure you seriously. Some plants with MAO inhibitors in them are Banisteriopsis copy, the main ingredient of ayahuasca; passion flower; Syrian rue seeds and bark / harmaline / harmine; yahimbe, available at your local health supplement shop. An ayahuasca drink is made by combining a plant or several containing DMT with one or several containing MAO inhibitors. Boil it down like tea several times to get a relatively concentrated liquid containing the stuff, then drink it. You can eat the remaining stuff if you think you can handle the poor taste. Go to ayauasca.com, arrowwood.org, or totsi.com for info about mixing potions. Most people drink the DMT substance and MAO inhibitor together. Some people drink the DMT substance first, wait 15 minutes, then drink the MAO inhibitor substance. ayauasca.com. ayauasca.com/Dearupal. ayauasca-healing.net. ayauasca-shamanism.co.uk. ayauasca-wazai.com. ayauasca-wazai.com. basementsheyman.com. daoxy.org/iadef.htm. andhiogen.com. arrowwood.org/chemicals/ayauasca. Chapter 4. Is fluoride good or bad for people? Fluoride in the water supply. Fluoride is a byproduct of the process to make aluminum. Some people say it serves no useful function, it's actually a toxin, but the story goes that several enterprising guys in the 1930s and 1940s said it was good stuff that lessened tooth decay, so they sold the stuff to the government and put out the propaganda that it was good stuff. You can read this story in any authoritative book on the true story behind fluoridization, or you can find free articles on the internet by typing the term fluoride danger into any search engine. According to some sources, the fluoridization story is one big scam perpetuated by clever propaganda until now, where it's part of common wisdom even though very few people know the truth about it. In 1945, the Public Health Service, PHS, decided to do a double-blind study to convince Americans that fluoridation was one of the greatest advances of the 20th century. Newburgh, New York was selected to have its water fluoridated, while the residents of nearby Kingston would continue to drink pure water. The study was supposed to last 5 years, but halfway through the project, the PHS abruptly terminated it, claiming that, based upon the analysis of the Newburgh statistics, fluoridation was a tremendous deterrent to tooth decay in children. Unbiased researchers later determined that children in non-fluoridated Kingston had fewer cavities, but by then the bandwagon was already in high gear. Over the years, scientific evidence against fluoridation mounted. It is related to heart disease, cancer, and allergies, among other things. It poisons the body and builds up in parts of the brain like the pineal gland, thereby causing tumors and calcifying it. Most countries have either discontinued fluoridation or never approved it. These include Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Egypt, France, Germany, Greece, Holland, India, Italy, Luxembourg, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. Another highly controversial use of fluoride is that it supposedly strengthens the bones of osteoporotic women. At an international symposium on osteoporosis in Washington, researchers were both pro and con on the subject. Fluoride inhibits the enzyme, acetylcholinesterase. This is involved in transmitting signals along nerves. Fluoride attacks the immune system by diminishing its ability to recognize threats. It causes autoimmune disease. Fluoride has been used in rat poison. Because of the cumulative properties of fluoride, the detrimental effects on human health are catastrophic. Fluoride leads to the breakdown of collagen in bone, tendon, muscle, skin, cartilage, lungs, kidney, and trachea. Fluoride depletes the ability of white blood cells to destroy foreign agents through the process of phagocytosis. Fluoride disrupts the immune system. Fluoride contributes to the tumor growth rate in people with cancerous tumors. Fluoride slows down antibody formation in the blood. Fluoride disrupts thyroid activity. Fluoride disrupts various organs in the body. Fluoride contributes to the development of cancer. Fluorides causes premature aging. Fluorides have been used in Russia in the drinking water to help keep prisoners docile. Fluorides are categorized as protoplasmic poisons and used as rodent poison. Fluorides have little or no effect on tooth decay prevention in humans. I could go on, but you can look at the studies on the websites below. Do not use toothpaste or mouthwashes with fluoride added to them. You can use baking soda as toothpaste if you can't find unfluoridated toothpaste at the store. If your municipal water supply adds fluoride to the water, send your elected city council a copy of the following websites and tell them they had better stop using it. Do the same to your local media outlets like the radio stations, TV channels, and the newspapers. Is fluoride poison? Fluoride is an inorganic part of fluorine. Fluorite is roughly 49% fluoride by mass. Fluoride is mainly a salt used in the production of hydrogen fluoride for fluorocarbons. Some fluoride exists naturally in drinking water and foods like between 0.01 to 0.3 ppm. High levels of fluoride lead to serious health problems. There are supposedly studies that prove that fluoride ions in low doses in the mouth reduce tooth decay. Some people say these studies from the 1930s and 1940s are a fraud. The truth is that some industrial big shots had this byproduct of aluminum product and were looking for a way to make money from it, so they made a big propaganda push saying that fluoride is good to prevent tooth decay, whereupon through their connections and bribery of politicians, they started selling it en masse to municipal water supplies. That's the story I read in alternative media. Fluoride is sold in tablets for cavity prevention. Fluoride compounds like sodium fluoride or sodium monofluorophosphate are used in topical fluoride therapy for preventing tooth decay. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC.gov, says fluoridation of water is one of 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century. The maximum safe daily consumption of fluoride is considered 10 milligrams for an adult. The questions are: does fluoride really help prevent tooth decay? If it occurs naturally in water and foods, why should we add it to the water we drink and bathe in? Is it all a lie to make money and dumb down the people? Does fluoride dumb down the brain and block the pineal gland, which helps block natural intuition? If fluoride is a toxin used in rat poison, why would any sane person put it into the water supply based on the weak claim that it helps support tooth decay? So what? Who cares if it helps prevent tooth decay a bit if it poisons the entire body and the brain? It doesn't seem worth it. A myth claims that the Nazis used fluoride in concentration camps to keep the prisoners docile, but there's no evidence for it. For optimal dental health, the World Health Organization recommends 0.5 to 1.0 milligrams per liter of fluoride in water, depending on climate. They say adverse effects are possible at levels far above this dosage. I've read articles saying don't use toothpaste with fluoride in it. Look at the packaging at the list of ingredients. Consumption of fluoride at high levels for a long period of time causes skeletal fluorosis. Fluoride-induced nephrotoxicity is kidney injury due to toxic levels of serum fluoride. Fluoride suppresses normal thyroid function. Rats given fluoride had twice as much aluminum in their brains as other rats. Aluminum in the brain is associated with Alzheimer's disease. Danish researcher Kai Raholm published Fluorine Intoxication in 1937, which was the main document responsible for a mass fluoridation of water supplies worldwide. There are two types of fluoride. Calcium fluoride occurs naturally in water and is relatively benign. The type of fluorides added to water supplies are waste products of the aluminum and phosphate, fertilizer, industries. The EPA calls them toxins. They are fluorosilicate acid, sodium silicofluoride, and sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride is used as rat poison and as a pesticide, yet it dumped into water supplies to supposedly help prevent tooth decay. Some fluoride entering the body is eliminated by urine, but some accumulates in bones, teeth, organs and the pineal gland. Christopher Bryson, author of The Fluoride Deception, said that fluoridation was a public relations tactic to sell the toxic byproducts of the aluminum and nuclear industries. In the 1950s, advertising man Edward Bernays created a campaign for adding fluorides to water supplies. The AMA picked up on the dental advantage and a new industry of mass fluoridation was created. Boiling water increases the concentration of fluoride. Reverse osmosis removes fluorides. During the 1990s, Jennifer Luke noticed that fluoride builds up in the pineal gland, thereby interfering with whatever it does. Sunshine and exercise help remove fluoride from the body. Fluoride websites: fluoridealert.com, fluoridealert.com, fluoridation.com, fluoride.org.uk, fluorideaction.net, fluorideaction.org, fluoridealert.org, fluoridedebate.com, fluoride-journal.com. Chapter 5. Accessing your spirit websites. Spirit websites: sacred-texts.com, colorado.edu/philosophy-v-stenger/quantum/quantumconsciousness.pdf, karaio'connor.com, New Age, pegasus-animal-healing.com, quietearth.org, richardelrmusic.net, selfunification.com, selfunification.com, silkroadhealing.com, sarandryer.com, stuartwild.com, thehudsage.com, thesacredtearsofgaia.com, transcodeshop.com. Soulgate websites: alchemylab.com, alexgray.com/bio, avatarhealingdestinations.com, decalcefepinealgland.com, deoxy.org, en.wikipedia.org/wiki/dimethyltriptyamine, en.wikipedia.org/wiki/100th_monkey_effect, arrowwid.org, gnosis.org, gregorycolbert.com, nowrds.org, peterrussell.com, realmdynamics.com, sacred-texts.com, science-art.com.au, ted.com, tiller.org, wingingwithwhitehawk.wordpress.com.